Hi guys, and welcome back to another edition of The Heathen Vegan. On today's episode, I'm going to share with you my vegan steak marsala. Alright guys, this is what we're going to use today for our meat. It's from Gardein again. It's home-style beefless tips. These are very versatile and you can use this in a lot of different recipes. I'm going to use it today with some squash, some cabbage, and some spinach down there. And of course I'm going to use my mop ingredients, if you remember from I think it was my pizza episode, mushrooms, onions, and peppers. I'm going to use red peppers to cook with. I'm going to get the vegetables chopped up, and I'm going to get the seasonings that I need out. And once I do that, before I actually put them in, I'll show you what I'm going to use for the sauce. And I'll be back in a minute. Alright, so these are the, this is going to be what the main base of the sauce is going to be. I'm going to use extra virgin olive oil. Let me see if I can zoom in. And then I'm going to use Holland-Haas Marsala. I use Holland-Haas, sorry, take two. I use Holland-Haas. I also have their cherry wine, and I have their white wine, and they have another wine too. I think for the price, it's really good cooking wine, and the quality of food that it produces after you're done cooking with it is very flavorful and very savory. Of course, I'm going to use my old standby here, the Wizards Worcestershire sauce, and then I'm going to use a bouillon cube of not beef, and that's going to make up the main base for this type of sauce that I'm going to make. With this dish, it's very versatile, like I said before, and you'll see once I get into it, and once like the ingredients are in there and it's cooking, what it looks like if you're a visual thinker like me. With this, so I'm gonna have this be with pasta tonight. I'm gonna use Barilla's gluten-free spaghetti because my son asked me if I'd make it with spaghetti. This right here, though, when it's done, my favorite way to have it is on top of mashed potatoes, but you could do it with, you know, another side of a vegetable with a mashed potatoes, like I said before, or a baked sweet potato, or a baked potato. You can do it with rice. This dish is really, really versatile, and it's not just limited to being procured with the spaghetti. Okay, so I'm gonna go chop up my vegetables. I'm gonna get this sauce ready, and I'll be back in a minute. I wanted to show you what I have inside my pan in case you do want to follow along. I wanted to show you this before I actually turn the stove on. You're going to use olive oil, but you're going to use more marsala than you are olive oil. I'm going to say the measurement for the olive oil will probably be a little bit under a quarter of a cup, more like 2 tablespoons to be precise. Your marsala wine sauce will be about like a quarter to a quarter of a cup. I'm going to try to zoom in here and see if you can like really see the ingredients that are in there. There is the mushrooms, the peppers, and the onions. If you don't want to use those, obviously you don't have to. You can use your artistic license and put whatever you'd like in there. I like to use these with the steak. I think it makes the steak taste pretty good. There's also salt and pepper in there. And you'll have to excuse me, I'm a little bit tired today and I'm trying to like get with the program. But I did find the herb de Provence that's in there. There's some paprika in there. There's salt and pepper. And there is basil and parsley, sage, and chives from my herb garden. I'm going to turn this on now. I'm going to get this heated up. And then I'm going to put the beef style tips from Gardein in there. One thing I'd like to let you know real quick is if you've never used the steak bites and you don't know how to cook them, there's instructions in the back of the bag. And they will tell you not to overcook them, and you shouldn't overcook them, but you should cook them a little bit more than what they recommend that you cook them, because if you don't cook them a little bit more, they end up kind of being a little bit soft and kind of soggy. So if you cook them, and you'll be able to tell too, because as they're cooking, you'll feel the texture. Like if you put a fork in, they'll feel a little bit firmer. They'll feel like actual steak bites. Also, when you do cook these, and if you cook it this way, you're going to want to let them steam. Well, you have to put a cover on top of the pan for a couple of minutes, like 5 to 8 minutes, until they're defrosted. And after that, you can take the cover off, and then they'll start to thicken up. What I like to do also when I'm cooking them is right about between like around 5 minutes before they're done, I will turn up the, first of all, you'll want to cook this on a medium type heat, like a medium high type heat. Not too high though. Like on mine, I usually cook it at about 6.5 on my stove. I don't know how anybody else's goes, but so you will. What I like to do is I'll turn it up to about 8, like a high a temperature, and I'll let all the liquid that's in there, I'll let it dissolve as it's cooking into the meat. And as that happens, and you'll see this later as we get into the video a little bit more, as that happens, I'll start to put some, and I want to make sure that it's just like that it's starting to like crust into the bottom of the pan, because what happens then is I'll put a little bit of water in there, and the water will rehydrate all the ingredients, and then it kind of I guess saturates its way through into the steak, and it makes it really flavorful. I still haven't gotten an easel yet for my camera. I don't even really know where to look for one. If anybody has any ideas at all, you can always leave a comment in the comment box. It would be great, because I mean, I'm wondering if they have tabletop versions or where I can get one. Okay, I'm going to be back in a minute. I'm going to start this up. I'm going to get my steak in there. I'm going to get the cover on there. I'm going to cut up my cabbage, because I like to cook my cabbage with the steak. And I don't know if anybody likes cabbage or not. I'm a real big cabbage fan. I love cabbage, and I think cabbage in this recipe is a really good. I think it's a really good accompaniment. I think it accompanies the flavor of the sauce and the flavor of the steak really, really well. And then the cabbage itself starts to get that really nice flavor to it also. And I just want to mention real quick too, the Barilla pasta, the spaghetti. This right here, I mean, it's probably not the best gluten-free pasta on the market. It is really good. If you have to be careful when you cook it, not so much like being worried if it's going to be al dente or not. It definitely will be al dente, but you can't store it in your fridge for more than a day, because if you do, what happens is it starts to harden up again. And I don't know if you can go and you can reboil it once that happens, because usually when I cook it, like if I cook it with spaghetti sauce, whatever, I'll just put it in with the spaghetti sauce, so therefore I can't re-boil it. And also, like when I make macaroni salad with the elbows, that's from Barilla, if you don't use this pasta within a day, it will start to harden and it won't be any good. So just be careful with that. This is really good pasta though. The flavor is really good, the texture is really good, and the price is really good too. It's normally under $3 at the grocery store. Sometimes you can catch it on sale for like 2 for $4. And I think that's a great deal, because a lot of gluten-free pasta out there is like $5, $6, $7 a bag. And that's really expensive. And a lot of them, honestly, just don't even taste all that great. You know, it's just people marketing, cashing in on other people who want to eat gluten-free. And let's get back to cooking. There is my rant for the day. Thanks for listening, you guys. I just put the steak bites in there, and I cut up the cabbage. I don't know if you can see that too well. I hope that you can see it. As you can see, the steak, it's frozen, and that's why it's important when you are cooking this to put a lid on it. It retains some moisture while it's cooking, so I'll leave that like that. Probably like 5 to 8 minutes. I have the cabbage in there right now, and so this is a tricky thing too. Before, when I used to cook this dish, I never used to put the cabbage in, and I just cook it with the steak and the mushrooms and the onions and the peppers. And I cook it like this, and I take the lid off, and I would go and cook it, and how I explained earlier, and the steak would get firmer quicker because it was just that. Now with the cabbage being in there, it's going to take a little bit longer for that to happen, because now you kind of have to use your discretion and eyeball it to see exactly how this is going to start to transform and get that thicker texture that you want out of the steak bite. I'm going to put in the zucchini and the spinach closer to the end, just so that it doesn't overcook it. This is a really quick recipe to make. Altogether, it's probably going to take you maybe a half an hour to make it, and that's including prep time. This is starting to look really good. I don't know if you can see that or not. Try to get in a little bit closer, but it's starting to look really good. I also have my water going for my gluten-free pasta. And what I wanted to let you know also is gluten-free pasta sometimes has a tendency to stick while it's boiling. So it's important, if you can, to put salt in the water as it's boiling so that it doesn't stick together. And I got my squash, my zucchini also chopped up, raring to go. I just put the squash in. It's looking fantastic. Color-wise, smell-wise, I'm sure it's going to taste pretty good. So this is getting to be at the point where it's almost going to be time to higher the temperature on the stove to a higher heat so that this can start to boil out. Because that's kind of, for me anyway, the way that I cook this dish. It's kind of important to me because I think that really, once it gets like that, and then I put the water in and the water boils into the vegetables, into the beef, that it starts to really make this a very flavorful dish. And another reason for the high heat is because it's gonna help toughen up the steak bits a little bit. I'm gonna show you real quick. I don't know if I'll be able to show you this way, but so I'm gonna stick the knife through the steak. It's gonna go in really easy. You see that? This needs to get a little bit firmer in order for the consistency and the texture that me and my family like. I don't know. If you want to try it the way that it is and see if you like it, then go for it. But if you'd like for it to be a firmer steak, because to me it just tastes better that way, then let it cook like this. Get it on that higher heat, about 10 minutes into it, and really let it like do its thing. And then you can turn it back down and you can get it more fluid again so that you have a little bit of a sauce for either your mashed potatoes or your pasta if you're going to do pasta with it. And even if you don't want to make it into a sauce, you don't have to. That's completely your choice. Remember, we're using our artistic license here. So this is now at the point, you see, I don't know if you can see or not, but how it's starting to stick to the pan. That's a great point to actually put the water in. So we're going to try this again. And hopefully I don't put too much water in. I'm going to try not to talk while I do it. Apparently I can't multitask with it. I can't even talk today. Never mind, multitask. Alright, here we go. See that? Just a little bit. Just a little bit. And it see how it's doing it? Tell me you can see this! No, I'm just kidding. Alright. So that's looking good. And see how it's starting to scrape? It's scraping that stuff up. And it's getting rehydrated. So you're going to do that like that. You're going to put a little bit more water in this time. Kind of like how the first time I put in all that water. You're going to let that get all in there. I'm going to pause this real quick. I'm going to put in the spinach, and it's almost done. Alright, let's check out. Let's see what it looks like with the spinach in there. Oh, yeah. That is looking beautiful. So I'm going to let that... Now, I should let you know, I did turn down the heat. It's on a low, medium heat now. And I want to introduce you guys, if you haven't already heard about this yet. I wanted to show you guys this real quick if you haven't already experienced it for yourself. This is again from Char. Char is my favorite gluten-free brand. It's they put the least amount of sugar into it, least amount of preservatives, and they taste really good. This is their croissants. You can find this in the grocer's freezer. I've only been able to find this at Big Y, but this would be a really good accompaniment for what we're making right now with the pasta. And there it is, you guys. It looks pretty good. The pasta, after it was done boiling, I like to mix it with a little bit of olive oil and salt and pepper before I actually put it on the dish. And I did also put in some of Follow Your Heart's Parmesan cheese, the gluten-free vegan Parmesan cheese. I sprinkled it on top of the pasta. But this is looking pretty good. Look at that. The steak and the spinach and the zucchinis and the cabbage. Alright, my friends, I hope you get a chance to try this. Alright guys, it's going to wrap up this week's edition of The Heathen Vegan. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you have, please leave a like. If you'd like to see more of my online vegan cooking, subscribe to my channel. And if you took this recipe and you turned it into something that you're proud of, I'd love to hear about it down below in the comments. You guys have a great day, and thanks for tuning in. Until next time.